Katharina Hartmuth, good morning. It's nice to see you here in Silverton, Colorado. It's also great to meet you officially. We bumped into each other on the trail this morning. How are you feeling less than 24 hours before Hardrock?
Hi, thanks so much. Yeah, I'm very excited. It's like, I can't wait.
So how was your shakeout run this morning? When we bumped into each other, I know, things are a little bit questionable right now, which we'll get to, but it seems like you're in good spirits this morning. You were able to get out and get a little final shakeout run in. How does the body feel before the big adventure tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm definitely in high spirits. With the body, I'll have to see. The short runs, they worked well this week, but I don't know how it will respond to 100 miles.
Yeah. So what you're suggesting is that you're dealing with a little bit of an injury after a fall. Let's come back and talk about that in a little bit, because I think the audience will be interested to hear you talk about it. And as we were just discussing before we started recording, you, Zach, Francois, with professional athletes, and I'm sure people in the middle and the back of the pack, there's a lot of people who are sort of questioning their readiness before Hardrock. So let's come back and talk about that in a second. But I'd first love for you to just sort of introduce yourself to the Freetrail audience here. Again, this is our first time really meeting and talking. Like a lot of people, I really discovered you after your amazing season last year, second place at both the World Championships and at UTMB. So just maybe explain or just introduce yourself a little bit, where you're from, your history with sport, things like that.
Yeah, thanks. So, I'm from Germany originally, but I live in Switzerland. I've been there now for 10 years, which is why people always see the Swiss flag on my bib, although I'm not yet a real Swiss. But I moved there and I'm very happy to be there because, the Alps are so close to where I live. And I started with trail running in 2016, I think, and did my first ultra 2018. And since then, I'm hooked with the longer distances. Yeah. And I really like the longer stuff because I realized that I need always a couple of hours to, warm up on the trail and to really enjoy it and have fun. And I just love the long grind. You see so much in the course of 20, 24, 25, 30 hours. Yeah. Which is amazing, yeah. Well,
congratulations on the success that you've had, especially recently. Did last year feel like a big breakthrough to you with those amazing second places at both the World Championships at UTMB? Also, you were fourth at Transgran Canaria, and there was another...
Yeah, I did the Eiger as well.
The Eiger Trail, which you won last year too. So an incredible season, top to bottom for you. Did it feel like a big breakthrough for you?
Well, it was very much unexpected, to be honest. Yeah. You could call it a breakthrough when looking at the results. I definitely also felt that I improved a lot with my running and with my racing as well. But I've never actually intended, to reach the podium in these races. Also with UTMB, even at the beginning of last year, I thought that would be something for the future and not for this year, because UTMB was always a race where I wanted to be ready. As much as I can be. And I didn't feel ready because I had only done 100 miler before. I was like, it's super competitive. I want to be there when I feel like ready. And then after the World Champs, I thought, well, maybe it's not too bad. Yeah. Maybe I can go there and just, it was my first UTMB, so I didn't put a lot of pressure on myself, and just wanted to see what it's all about. Yeah.
Your first 100 miler was Swiss Alps, right?
Yes, exactly.
Ryan behind the camera did it last year too. So we got
amazing.
2 Swiss
Alps.
Alps.
You should do it. Yeah. It's a really tough race. Yeah. Swiss Alps. It's very technical.
It's sort of like a European equivalent to Hardrock in some ways.
Yes, in some ways you could say it. It's not, you don't have that much altitude. Right. So the altitude is not that much of a factor. And it's not that remote. But still, in terms of, climbing and technical trails, it is tough. Yeah.
Very cool. Say a few more words about the improvement. You just said that you felt like you improved a lot last year. Is there anything that you can attribute that improvement to? Is it just gaining experience, or was there something different that you did in terms of lifestyle or training that may have led to that breakthrough?
Yeah, I think experience is always such a huge factor with these long races. Each year you gain more and more experience, helps you so much. And then with the training, I mean, I don't think I train more, but I think in the last couple of years, I definitely changed the way I train. Because already at the beginning of my career, if you want to call it like that, I was injured quite a lot. I never had a coach. I couldn't afford one. Mm-hmm. So I just did all the mistakes you do. And so I think I learned quite a lot from these injuries. And I gradually changed my training towards doing way more cross training. Apart from, the few weeks in summer when you just go to the mountains and get a lot of miles under your feet. But especially in winter and in preseason, I do a lot on the bike, very much on the bike actually. And I realized that it's not that I'm losing something in terms of my running. It even helped me to improve. And I realized, I don't need to run that much. I can save, the stress on my body. And I think that really helped somehow. Wow. And I still like doing all this cross training. And I think it just really works well for me. So
fantastic. Yeah. Maybe before we get to your season and the fall and things like that, just talking a little bit about trail running in Germany right now. Obviously you live in Switzerland, as you said, but you and especially Hannes Naumburger too have sort of emerged into this like top category in the sport right now. And obviously trail and ultra running is exploding globally right now. Is there anything that you can say about, trail running in Germany right now, even as somebody who doesn't make their home there at the moment? I mean, I just view it as both you and Hannes are performing at the highest level now in a sport where, obviously French and Spaniards and Americans have sort of been dominant in the global podiums. It seems like Germany is really on the rise right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially also, when you look at the amateurs, if you want to call them like that, it's definitely a trending sport. Mm-hmm. So many, many people come to do their first trail running races. And yeah, I think also when you look at the top athletes, especially on the women's side, we have quite a strong team in Germany. Which you could show last year at the World Championships when you won a team medal as well. Yep. So that's pretty cool. I still think I think there's still a gap between, the normal runners and then the pro runners. So I'm excited to see for the next years how many people will, step up and actually want to race at the highest level. So let's see how that works. I mean, we also have a pretty strong team in the mountain running scene, which is the shorter races. Yep. So yeah, let's see. I mean, we are definitely not at a point where the French are. I mean, that's just another level. Yeah. And also in terms of competitiveness, I mean, we are not there yet. But it's definitely a trending sport. Very
cool. Okay, so let's talk about your season. You were 7th at Transvolcania, and as based on your characterization of that, you were happy with it, but you prefer the longer races. Let's come back and talk about that in a second. And then just a few weeks ago, you won the UTMB Andorra race in a very fast time. It was a very, very impressive performance from you. Say anything you want about those two performances and how they set you up for Hardrock.
Yeah, so Transvolcania was basically just a test race. I actually intended to do Madeira at the end of April, but I had, in the lead up to the season, I had 2 crashes of my bike. And both times I injured my knee, which, was very unfortunate. Uh-huh. And the second accident was only at the end of January. And I couldn't run for almost 8 weeks, at least not properly. So I had a very short lead up to the Transvolcania, it was a very spontaneous decision because I just wanted to see if, the knee was ready to race again. And in the Transvolcania, you have this 2,000 meter downhill, so it was a really good test. Yeah. So I didn't have any ambitions there. And I mean, it was quite a strong field at this year's Transvolcania. I mean, there were some strong women. So for me, it was just all about, having a good time, just celebrating being back on the trails and hopefully, hoping that everything would be all right with the knee, which it was. So I was super, super happy. And I mean, yeah, as you said, I really don't prefer these shorter races. I'm just not good at it because you have to push so hard all the time. And I just, at the end of the race, I was like, okay, now we could continue for a couple of more kilometers. So I knew, okay, I'm in a good way. So I'm on my way back. And then Andorra was the real test, actually, because I spent quite some time before the Andorra race to prepare and to really get into mountain shape. And I was very happy with my performance there.
You won by like 90 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I was not too far from the men's leader, so that was.
I think you were 10th or 11th overall.
Yeah. And I think it was quite also a strong men's field.
Yes,
there,
very strong.
So that was cool because I actually really tried to just push as long as possible and try to nail my nutrition, and it worked very well until the last 3 hours were not that good, but. Yeah, I was really happy.
The last 3 hours are never good.
You just hike it home somehow. No, and then I was like, okay, that's great. I think I'm in a good shape for Hardrock. And then I went to do some altitude training in Switzerland, which is not the same as here because it's about 3,000 feet lower. But still, it is. You feel the effect a little bit. And I did some great sessions there. And then unfortunately on my last training day before my flight to the US, I injured myself again with a fall again. So that was very unfortunate.
Okay, so let's talk about that in just a second. But first, I'd love to hear you just say a little bit more about where you view your strengths. Like you're saying that Transvolcania is an event or a performance that you're proud of, but not necessarily something that you view as a specialty, where Andorra is something where you feel a little bit more confident. So just say a little bit about where you view your strengths as an athlete right now, because I think it'll be important as we start to talk about Hardrock.
Yeah. So my strength is, first of all, definitely on the longer distances. And then for me, what's good for me is if it's a slow race. I need, the grind, the long hours. I need a lot of climbing in a race because that's really where I see my strength. I think one of my biggest strengths is that I can pace myself well, in the sense that I can't really start fast. I'm just not built for this. But I think I try to slow down as less as possible. And I think in the end that usually works, and then I can climb up the ranking in the second half of a race. It was funny because after UTMB, many people asked me, well, what was your tactics? Because, you had such a good race. And I was like, well, I just tried to not slow down. And then I gradually worked my way back up. So I think, my weakness is that I'm not fast, but in some way, then the strength is that I have try to have a continuous pace somehow. And so for me, I really need this technical terrain where everyone struggles. I mean, I struggle as well, but I think I still can move well. And I'm not a typical runner. So for example, something like Western States, it doesn't really appeal to me because I just know I'm not good at it, and I also don't enjoy it.
Yeah. Really interesting.
So,
slow races that are a grind, technical. It sounds like you are a hard rocker. Yeah, because a hard rocker in the making. Maybe. Yeah. I think my strength is, my main strength is maybe not so much on the physical side, but more on the mental side. I think I'm really good in motivating myself and just keeping a good mindset throughout the whole race. Yeah. Even if I'm not feeling good at all. I mean, I struggle so much in most of these races, but then I don't struggle that much in my mind. Yeah. And I think that's so you're able to stay more optimistic, not get discouraged in moments when it's painful or where you're suffering. Well,
so I think I can't recall. I think one race last year's Gran Canaria, because there I actually injured myself during the race, and then it was really painful. But I think I can't recall any other race where I, went really in a bad mindset. Yeah. So,
good.
I think that's good. Yeah.
Well, you're going to need to obviously keep a positive mindset tomorrow. It's going to be a very long, hard day. Trust me, I've finished Hardrock twice. I've had both types of experiences. One a very special day, one a very, very hard day. And as we've suggested now a couple of times, you're coming in with some question marks. You took a fall on one of your last big training runs at home. Tell us what happened there, where you're feeling this injury, how it's been impacting you.
Yeah, so what happened is that I actually was on a trail where there was a lot of snow. So I had somehow had to climb around it. And there was this boulder field with all these big rocks. And I just fell onto my back. I can't even recall what exactly happened. From 1 second to the next, I was lying on my back and it was in quite some pain. And at first I actually thought I would need to call someone to rescue me.
Wow.
But then I took some time and it was getting better, and I even continued to run. It felt not bad at all. So I was like, okay, I was lucky. Actually, I thought I had broken my arm because my arm was hurting so much. But then the next day, unfortunately, I felt the back again a little bit. So we did a scan that day because my flight was only 2 days away. And then when we had the results of the scan, we saw that I bruised my sacrum, which is quite important for running. It's just in the middle of everything,
it's like the
somehow.
weight-bearing bone.
And the doctor didn't say that I couldn't run, but also it was not clear if it would work out. And I actually thought about not going at all. But then a friend, she told me, well, but what if you feel good in, a week from now, and then you would regret that you didn't go there. So I took my flight, and because I knew if I wanted to race, I would need to go here early because of the altitude. And so then I came here, and I think the flight really killed my back because, from Europe, it's such a long flight. You sit for so many hours. And then when I was here, I tried some hiking, and actually at the beginning, it seemed to feel good and everything was all right. But then the pain came back at some point. And then I took a couple of days off and nothing really changed. And I was actually, not really optimistic at all. And then luckily at the end of last week, I was able to see a really good physio here who treated me and gave me some exercises to, regain some stability in this area. And then I felt quite some improvement over a very short time span. And I think that gave me back my optimism that at least I could try to start.
Yeah.
Because, if I would have run today my warm-up run, and if I would have been in pain, then I wouldn't start, no.
So have you been able to get out on the course at all?
A little bit. Yeah. So on these hikes in the beginning, I actually could see the last 12-ish miles of the course, which is always good, from the finish, to see, just to know what's still out there. Then I saw the first 3 miles because
today when I saw you.
I also went there on Wednesday because
the only easy part of the whole course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's the beginning, which is also good to know what to expect there. And then I did the first part of the Handy's Peak ascent when I could hike a little bit. And then on some afternoons, we just drove up with the car to some of the passes. Yeah. So at least I saw what's up there, how the trails look like, but I wasn't there to train. So
one of the things that I've sort of talked with both Francois and Zach about now in the last 24 hours since they've been in here is kind of the psychological element of having this big goal on the calendar, something you've probably been thinking about for months now, and also having question marks coming in. I'm sure this is something that a lot of our audience will identify with. So maybe say any words that you can or share any feelings that you've had about balancing that, about having this big goal in front of you and this amazing opportunity to run Hardrock while also dealing with injury and the question marks inherent with that.
Yeah, it's really hard because you don't want to be at the start line and not feeling 100%. At the same time, you prepare for so long. I mean, the travel over here, it's so exhausting. And now I'm here, now I meet all these people, a wonderful community. And then with each day, you hope more that you will be able to race because now I'm here, now I've seen at least parts of the course. Yeah. And I just think that this type of race, it's just exactly what I love doing, right? Yeah. So I think this could be one of my all-time favorite races. Yeah. And so then, it's a bummer because on the one side, you're like, damn it, I'm here. I want to race it. And then you feel your body and the body is like, well, maybe we are not ready yet. So that's really hard to balance. And I think what helped very much was the optimism of all the people around me. Everybody was just telling me, you will be fine and take it easy. And there's still some time to rest. And I think that just helped to, keep the hope alive. Yeah. because, you know, where I come from in Germany and Switzerland, people tend to be what they call like more realistic, which often then turns, you know, a bit more to the negative side. And I think that wouldn't have helped at all with the healing process and stuff. I mean, I'm very much aware that, you know, my race could be over very soon tomorrow, because I mean, you know, if I am in pain, I can't continue. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, that definitely helped me. You know, this American optimism.
The American
call
optimism.
It like that.
The healing power of American optimism.
It really is, because I know from recent injuries that really, if you are in a bad mindset, it's just prolonging that injury, because your body will not heal faster when you know.
Such an
feel
important,
bad.
such an important lesson to leave our audience with. Maybe in closing, talk a little bit about the team that's going to be helping you here. Obviously, we have a very strong contingent of international athletes at Hardrock this year, but it does make it more challenging when you come to a foreign country to race. You have to enlist, you know, support, crew, pacers. So maybe give a shout out to the people who are going to be supporting you on the adventure tomorrow. Yeah.
So that's actually quite an interesting point, because I'm here on my own. So unfortunately, nobody could join me from Europe. But I think in hindsight, I'm actually glad that I came here on my own, because it's so much easier, because you need to connect, right? Yeah. You don't already have some guys with you. So in some way, that was quite a good experience. And so I will have a minimal crew. My crew member, Mandy, she will ride out and bring me my stuff and cheer me up. And I'm very happy, because she's very experienced and she crewed on a course last year. So I fully trust in her.
Great.
And then I have one pacer, which is Dakota Jones. And I'm very much looking forward to run with him. So that's actually another motivation, that I'm like, I want to get to that second half of the run to run together with him. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. I mean, I have to admit that I'm not used to run with a pacer, because that's not the thing over in Europe. But I think it's a nice experience, and especially now that I haven't seen that much of the course, and with helpful potential weather coming in, it will be definitely good to have some support in this way. A small
but mighty team.
Yeah.
Well, Katharina, it's great to get to know you a little bit. Thank you for coming over here. I know that you're going into Hardrock maybe feeling a little bit less confident than maybe you normally do, but you seem to be in really good spirits, and we're grateful that you would come to Hardrock. We're grateful that you would come and spend a few minutes chatting with us. Good luck tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks very much, and thanks for the invitation.
Thanks.